Small sample size, but what are some early stats that we'd like and we don't like from the Silver and Black?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This is Emily Swallow, and you are listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Kens 5 San Antonio. Hope everybody's having a good day. We'll get you through it right here on Locked On Spurs, your first spot for all things San Antonio Spurs. YouTube, Kens 5 Plus app, Spotify, iTunes, the list goes on and on. There's no reason for you to not subscribe to Locked On Spurs, so do it right now. You guys are the everydayers. This episode of Locked On Spurs is brought to you by Game Time. You got to get Game Time. Today's episode, like I said, is via Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. So what are we talking about today? We're going to be looking at some early stats that we like and we don't like. I know. Small sample size, just 3 games. This is recorded ahead of the Spurs-Suns tonight, so I get all that. But what are some early trends that we like and we don't like? We're going to discuss that with Michael Jimenez right here on Locked On Spurs in just a few minutes. And let's just say I know what he's going to bring up, and that may spark some fans' ire right here on Locked On Spurs. Well, actually, I don't think so. I think actually Jimenez is going to say something that everybody's going to agree with. So stay tuned for that. But first, Spurs-Suns tonight. Let's quickly preview tonight's game. So the Spurs are 1-2 heading into the game versus Phoenix, who are 2-1. So let's rewind a bit. The Spurs are coming off a 40-point curb stomping to the Los Angeles Clippers, 123 to 83. Yeah, it was not pretty. Devin Vassell, yep, he led the way for the Spurs with 14 points. That's how bad it was. Victor Wembanyama, 11 points and 5 rebounds. Zach Collins, 9 points, 6 rebounds. CD Osman off the bench with 12 points on the night. So go CD, go. Quick injury report. The Spurs report no injuries ahead of tonight's Spurs-Suns game, but don't expect Sissoko, Rice, or Bediako to play because they have been assigned to the Austin Spurs G League team. Give me a chance. Just tell me there's a chance. There is a small chance the Spurs could maybe shock the NBA tonight. The Suns list Devin Booker as questionable, and Bradley Beal is out tonight. So if Booker's not going to play, well, and tell me there's a chance. There's a chance, and there it is right there. We'll see if the Spurs can rebound off that clubbing. Oh my God, that was just nasty, wasn't it? So what a way to erase that taste off their mouth and getting a win versus the Suns in their gym. By the way, this is the first of back-to-back meetings versus the Suns. They'll play tonight. Then they'll skip a day, and then they'll play again in Phoenix before coming back home to San Antonio. Here are some things you want to watch for. Watch for a close game between these two clubs. Sure, the Suns have won 9 straight in a row versus the Spurs, dating back to last season and more. But 3 of the last 6 meetings between San Antonio and Phoenix were all decided by 5 points or less. So hopefully that trend will continue tonight out in Phoenix. Now, what are some good things that you can look out for that hopefully will get the Spurs a W? Well, the Spurs have recorded more blocks than their opponents in the first 3 games of the season. So there's some little bit of a defense boost right there. But in the last 2 consecutive games, the Spurs have a lower field goal percentage than their opponents. They're getting outshot. So, and keep an eye on the third quarter. The early trend right now, we're going to get some more stats in a bit, but that the third quarter is when all what breaks loose for the Spurs. They're getting outscored by 10 points in the third. They're allowing opposition to score 33.3 points per game in the third, while the Spurs are only mustering up 23.3. So keep an eye on that third period. And in case you were wondering what jerseys they're going to be wearing tonight, the Spurs will be in their white association jerseys. Hopefully that'll be some luck for the Spurs. I don't know. We'll find out. So there is your quick Spurs-Suns preview. Go Spurs, go. Hopefully they get the W tonight out in Phoenix. When we get back, we're going to be looking forward to hear what Jimenez has to say as we dive into some early stats that we like. And then later on the show, we're going to talk about early stats that we don't like. Coming up next right here on Locked On Spurs. But first, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets by winning $5 money line bets. That easy. So if you want to score early in the NFL season, you got to do it with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Again, let me repeat that. That's $150 if your team wins. What more do you need to go and check out and download FanDuel right now? So if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get on the action than right now. The NFL season's underway. The NBA season's underway. Your San Antonio Spurs are playing right now. MLB playoffs or whatever little bit is left. Well, that's still going on. So get on the action over at FanDuel right now. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, over and unders, player props, etc. I mean, you're going to have a lot of fun using the FanDuel app right now. Go to your app store right now on your Android or your iPhone and go get that app right now. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL.
Hey everybody, this is Nathan Ray Clark from Criminal Minds and Modern Family, and you are listening to Locked On Spurs, hosted by Victor Wembanyama's new best friend, Jeff Garcia.
And don't forget to check out the Locked On Ultimate NBA Season Preview. It is finally here, a 6-episode series with all 30 of our Locked On NBA teams shows. So from contenders to tankers, we go in depth into the biggest storylines heading into the new season. So you can catch all 6 episodes right now on Locked On NBA, on YouTube, wherever you get podcasts. Locked On Spurs. Well, I was there for the tankers talk. The Spurs, do they deserve to be in the tanker section? Go check it out. The Locked On Ultimate NBA Season Preview is here. Go get it. All right, let's go and bring our guest. He is Mike Jimenez. There he is.
What's going on?
What's going on, man? Buddy? Hey, that T-shirt phone number looks very familiar. It's like something I used to dial back in the day.
Exactly.
For those of y'all in San Antonio, if you know what that number is.
You know what time it is. 226-3232. Yeah, it's in honor of Frost Bank being the title of the arena, the Frost Bank Center. Yeah, so 226-3232. And it's funny because I wear this shirt out and about and people flag me down. They go, "We love that shirt."
Isn't that by Bear County?
Bear County Social Apparel, yeah.
Good job, Bear County.
And apparently, Joe and I from our podcast, we were the ones who inspired it because the whole "Go Frost Yourself" comes from the movie "How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days." Oh. And I kind of brought that up when Frost Bank was named as the title sponsor of the arena.
He is Michael Jimenez. Follow him on Twitter at MJ Acquired Taste. He also hosts occasionally on the host seat for Joe Garcia's YouTube show, the Alamo City Sports Cast. I believe that's right. Correct, Jimenez?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So go check it out on YouTube right now. He just recorded his show a couple days ago. It's live right now. Go watch it. It's a fun time. Jimenez is dressed up for Halloween as an NBA ref.
It's right. A blind one because I have the
blind one too. So way to go, Jimenez. All right, Jimenez, let's go ahead and dive into this. Look, we get it. It's only 3 games into the season. I understand that too small of a sample size, but we can start maybe seeing trends. We're not saying this is how it's going to play out, but we can start seeing maybe things are going to trend this way, that way. So we're going to sift through that right now. But we're going to start off on a positive note. Early Spurs stats that we like. Jimenez, you are the guest. Take it away.
The early stat line that I like, it's part of the controversy going on Spurs Twitter right now as to who should be the point guard of this team. But the fact of the matter is that for the season, Trey Jones has a plus-minus that is positive 15, which is solid compared to everybody else who's bringing the ball up the court. The thing about it is this. Take a look against the Clippers. Spurs lost by 40 points.
Eesh.
Trey Jones was out there for 20 minutes. He didn't have a great game, but he was out there for 20 minutes. His plus-minus on a night when all the starters were minus 35 to minus 40, his was 0. For some reason, when Trey Jones is out there, the offense runs a little bit better. And even weirdly enough, the defense is a little bit tighter as well. Mm-hmm. He's not as good of a defender as Jeremy Sohan. That's not what I'm saying. But we've been talking so long over the past few months about how Sohan brings something defensively. But offensively, Trey Jones is doing a much better job of running the team. And I know that it's ball movement. I know that isn't a true point guard. They try to move the ball around, and he's off ball. But the fact of the matter is, for some reason, when Trey Jones is out there, the team plays better.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, according to NBA Stats website, some guy by the name of Victor Wembanyama, he has more field goals assisted from Trey Jones. He has 9.
Yeah.
So there's that. So
Yeah.
he definitely is impacting Wemby. He's looking for the big man, and the big man is scoring. I like Trey Jones. I've been a fan of him since he came on board. He was my most improved player from last year's Spurs squad. Just the leap that he took, quiet numbers. He's that guy that at the end of the day, where you look at the stat sheet, you're like, whoa, he poured in 10, 12 points, 0 turnovers or 1 turnover, 8 assists, getting the guys going, 6 rebounds. That's what you want from your point guard. It's interesting to see if the Spurs are going to get away from this Jeremy Sohan experiment. I don't think they are in the near future. I think they're going to try to force it. We'll see. We'll definitely see. But Trey Jones for sure. I actually spoke to Trey Jones early in the season and asked him, like, how you adjusting to coming off the bench? And he said it's fine. What is he going to say? He's not going to be all, blasting the Spurs. But, at least that moment we had, he said that he just wants to be that leader. He wants to be that calming force coming off the bench. And we saw that versus Houston. As a matter of fact, he told me that one thing he did not want to redo was having the Dallas debacle again, where they were in it and they just came apart. That he didn't want that to repeat. And so he told me that in the Houston game, that was his goal, is to not let that happen. As a matter of fact, you know what? That is a great pick. I think that is a good stat. And I think in time, nobody's going to be surprised if Trey Jones comes back in the lineup, right?
I wouldn't be surprised, but keep in mind, they took him out with 2:08 in the Dallas game season opener. They lose. They 8-0 run for the Mavericks to win the game. They kept him in the lineup during overtime and down the stretch in the fourth quarter against Houston. Sohan was on the bench. Now, Sohan did make the clutch free throws.
Right.
But there's just something better offensively when Trey Jones is out there.
Absolutely. All right. So what is a stat that I like? Well, I'm liking the stats from Devin Vassell. Everybody was talking about he's going to make the biggest leap. He's going to be that next step in his career. It's going to be this year, right? Well, so far, so good. Through 3 games of the season, he's averaging 20.7 points per game, 3 rebounds per game, 1.7 assists, a steal a game. He's shooting 55% from the field, still a little iffy from the 3 line, 31%. And shooting about 77% from the free throw line. He's gotten aggressive. I'm seeing the fact that he added size to his frame has really been paying off. He's absorbing contact. He's finishing and ones. He wants to be that leader. And talk about passion for winning and losing. Following the big loss of the Clippers, he referenced how last season there was just too much losing, and he did not like that. You fast forward to a couple of days ago in LA, losing to the Clippers the way they did. He repeated it over. I hate losing. I don't want to lose. I just hate losing. We got to do where we have to win. I'm not surprised he took that stance, because early in his rookie season and year 2, he was very vocal when the Spurs were getting clubbed over the head. He might be the Robin to Wemby's Batman, but right now, at least right now, dare I say, he's the Batman of the team, and Wemby is the Robin, as Robin is getting his feet wet to become the next Batman. What do you think, Jimenez?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, Devin Vassell is my favorite Spur. Sure. I've never said one thing bad about him. I loved him when he was playing with Florida State, and I was thrilled when the Spurs got him in the draft. That being said, Devin Vassell has taken that leap, and it's from day one. And I look at it and I wonder, does he have another leap coming up in the future, next season or the next season after that?
I wouldn't be surprised if it's this year.
Yeah, and we talked about this before. I want him to be a fringe all-star. Mm-hmm. I want him to be in the conversation. I don't think the Spurs are going to have multiple all-stars or anything like that. But if he's in the conversation, you know that he's doing very well. He's efficient. That is the thing. He makes shots at a very good clip. He doesn't have a lot of turnovers. He plays good defense. The defense is better. Keep in mind, when he was in college, he was known as a defensive guy who happens to have some game offensively. In the NBA, his offensive game took off, and his defensive game kind of struggled a little bit. And I'm
Mhm.
not saying that it struggled to the point where he was bad. It just struggled to the point where he wasn't elite like he was when he was at Florida State. Now it's all catching up. He's becoming a complete player. And I take a look at him. He's an above average shooting guard in this NBA. I would say that if you're going to rank all the shooting guards out there, he's probably in the top 10. Maybe not top 5, but I'll take him in the top 10.
He started the season with back-to-back 20-plus point outings. You're looking at steals. He's given you that. 2 steals to start the season, 1 steal versus the Clippers. You talk about those turnovers. That's one thing I think is underrated about Devin Vassell is that he's very go with valuing the ball. I know 2 turnovers versus the Clippers, just 1 versus Houston, and then 2 versus Dallas. He's not coughing the ball up a lot, and he's playing clean ball. The most fouls he's gotten so far is 2 this season. Now, again, look, Jimenez and I, we know it's too early in the season, to start looking at, what could be. But this could be a slight glimpse at what could project out. Trey Jones, based on the numbers that Jimenez brought up, maybe might force the coaches to have to rethink the Sohan point guard experiment and bring him back in. Numbers don't lie. Devin Vassell proving that he's worthy of that contract extension with the numbers he's putting up, and he could be the leader, at least for this season, moving forward. Coming up next, though, what are some early stats that we don't like? Jimenez has a good one. And I don't want to steal his thunder. I'm going to let him. He's going to get his time to shine right now. And he's going at somebody hard right now. You'll see what's coming up next right here on Locked On Spurs with Mike Jimenez. But first, I want to talk to you about Game Time. You want to go to gametime.co right now. Look, you shouldn't have to worry about buying tickets, right? That should be easy. Well, you want tickets for your next big event, last thing you want to do is just stress out. That's where Game Time comes in. It's fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sport, music, comedy, theater events near you. They got killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, the best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. So, as mentioned, you get that lowest price guarantee. In addition, you get event cancellation protection, job loss protection. Game Time has your back. Easy to find and buy tickets for any kind of event in your area. So, what more do you need? Go to Game Time right now. Go get it. Game Time has deals on tickets even up to the start of the event, even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find those last-minute seats. And you get zone deals. So basically, you pick the section, and Game Time picks the seats for an average of an 18% savings. And Game Time guarantee means you'll get the best price. So if you find tickets in a section or row for less, Game Time will credit you up to 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app right now. Create an account. Use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create that account right now. Redeem code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And I also want to talk to you about Muslinger's Drive-Thru Coffee, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. For those of y'all in San Antonio, that's in the 281 and 1604 area. They have a wide variety of drinks. They have a great drink menu and also mini donuts. And if you need a quick pick-me-up, well, go with the Red Bull Infused Lightning Bolt series. If you want to have one to show off your Spurs spirit, check out the Alien. As part of that series, the full can of Red Bull, kiwi, green apple, all mixed together, very delicious. If you're a big UTSA fan, they got you back. They got a Sub-Zero. That's in honor of Frank Harris. They have it all. I mean, what more do you need? Go there right now. They're open every day, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Over 300 5-star reviews cannot be wrong. Friendly staff, a proud local sponsor of Locked On Spurs. I'm the first, might I add. And they love serving the San Antonio community, and they're very active on social media. You can find them on X, Threads, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and they are everywhere. You can follow them at Muslinger, SATX. That's all one word. I go there. You should go there every day, San Antonio. So go help out the local restaurant here, the local coffee bar. Help them out. Support local. Go check out Muslinger's Drive-Thru Coffee right now. 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. Again, Muslinger's Drive-Thru Coffee. You want to go there because life is too short for bland coffee. Let's go ahead and bring him back. He is Mike Jimenez. There's the big man. Show that T-shirt one more time. Woo!
There you go, baby.
I got to
there
get
you
me one of
go.
those.
226-3232. You know what time it is.
Bear custom made me a T-shirt to reflect two genres that I love. That movie being the Jean-Claude Van Damme movies of I think it was Bloodsport. I think it was.
Yeah.
And my love of anime. And he created this shirt for me, and I'm waiting for it to come out so I can wear it on air.
Yeah.
He definitely is in touch with Spurs fans and their desire for T-shirts. But make sure to follow Jimenez on X at MJ Acquired Taste. I'm gonna get better at calling it X. It's always gonna be Twitter to me though.
No, it'll always be Twitter because you tweet something out, you don't X something out, right?
Yeah.
By the way, I've never seen a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie in my entire life, not one. That might be a movie review for the future.
Killing me, Jimenez. You're killing me. This is how you're making me feel right now. You're making me feel this upset right now, like Galvatron. Like Galvatron right here, all in the dark and upset and like asking why. But anyway, let's go to wrap up this show right here on Locked On Spurs with Mike Jimenez. So we talked about the good. Let's talk about the bad. Jimenez, I know. Let's just start it off. Say, what are some early stats that you don't like from this team, whether it be collectively or individually?
Individually, and I do not blame Jeremy Sohan whatsoever. Okay, but the experiment though of him at point guard is going down the toilet. It really is. And I know people are like, well, it's a small sample size. We don't know what he can do. The dude was not a point guard in college. He was not a point guard in high school. He was not a point guard in middle school. Why do we expect a 20-year-old to suddenly be able to run an offense at the NBA level against the best players in the world? Why? What would make somebody think that that's the thing? So when I see that Sohan performs poorly, especially like he did against the Clippers, I don't blame him. I blame the person who put him in that position, which is head coach Greg Popovich. I think Pop has set him up to fail. It's disappointing me because I think the way that he handled him last year was wrong, allowing him to chuck up 4 or 5 threes per game, and now to have him run an offense. Dude, what kind of confidence are you giving this guy if he's constantly going out there and not doing what he does best? Let him do what he does best, which is play defense, because his defense has struggled this year, not because he's a bad player or because he's regressed. It's because he's having to focus so much on what he's doing offensively. Trey Jones, I'm sorry, that's a guy that was a point guard when he was little. When he was in middle school, high school, and in college, and in the pros, he knows how to handle the rock, and that experiment fails when you see double teams and pressures because Trey Jones knows how to get around that because he's a point guard. That's what they do. Positionless basketball, I'll say it over and over again, only works when that positionless player is an all-star, like a Nikola Jokic or a Giannis or a Kevin Durant or a Booker or something like that. Positionless basketball, when it's Sohan trying to bring the ball up the court, does not work. Only when you have a superstar who's doing it. But I'm going to go to another thing that I don't like, right? And it was a stat that you and I were looking at. Then I kind of broke it down. 3-point shooting, you are considered to be a very formidable 3-point shooter if you can get to 36%. Right? 34, 35%, you're okay. 32 and below, you have some struggles, right? So the thing about it is I was taking a look at the stats, and the Spurs for the season are shooting 34% from 3. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, that's not the greatest percentage. I mean, it's not the worst percentage. I'm sorry, it's 32%. So it's down there, right? But did you know that if you took off the worst shooting 3-point shooter on the Spurs right now, they're at 36%? And that person is Zach Collins, who is 1 out of 15 for the season, shooting barely over 6%. Barely over 6%. And before the season started, I was high buying stock in Zach Collins, Twin Towers Part 2.
Everybody was,
be the enforcer. Now, I do hear stories that Zach Collins might have been ill the past week or so. But that being said, he has looked awful this year, both offensively and defensively. And I hope it's because he was sick. Because if he was perfectly fine, yikes. But to kind of go back to the whole thing about what do you like from the previous segment, as I'm going through the 3-point shooters, there's some really good shooting going on. Cedi Osman, 50%, 8 for 16. Keldon Johnson's at 33%, which is, fine, respectable.
It's good, yeah.
But Trey Jones at 38%, Malachi Branham at 38%, Doug McDermott at 44%. So it's not that the Spurs are shooting bad from three. Really, it's Zach Collins' stats that are bringing down the team from what would normally be a 36% shooting team down to 31.8.
Yeah, it's good points. For me, what I don't like early, and again, I get it, everybody. It's too early, 3 games in. We're recording this ahead of the Suns game tonight. But right now, the Spurs are allowing an average of 123.7 points per game for the opposition. Now, sure, maybe it's a little skewed because of the beatdown they got versus the Clippers. But nevertheless, that's what the stats say. That's what we're going to go with. That's too much. I mean, and offensively, Jimenez, they're only averaging 109.3 points per game right now. That's a big plus minus difference right there on that differential. That's
a 40-point beatdown is going to skew all that.
Yeah, so that 40-point beatdown skewed it. But nevertheless, even if you look at that and maybe you say, okay, maybe the Spurs lose by maybe not 40, but 20. No matter how you pan it out, they're still giving up a lot of points right now. You look at what's going on, and it doesn't help too that they're turning the ball over nearly 21 times a game. They're averaging 21 turnovers per game. So that's not going to help your cause on the offensive end. And you would think with Wemby there in the paint, it might be a little different. But the Spurs right now on the offensive rebound side, they're averaging 9 offensive rebounds, which you would think is wonderful, right? Mm-hmm. But they're giving up 11 offensive to the opposition. So again, those second chance opportunities. So right now, it just feels like that defense and that offense and the numbers that are showing, they're just off right now. We get it. It's too early. Let them cook for a bit, let them marinate. I get all that. But we're just trying to look at these starting signs, these trends. Because right now, that point differential is not looking good for San Antonio. The turnover situation is not looking good for San Antonio. That could go back to what Jimenez you're talking about, just having Sohan at the point guard. He's not a point guard. So there's going to be maybe some turnovers there. Trey Jones handles the ball better, minimal turnovers. So it's just a bad mix right now.
What you don't want as a Spurs fan is for the season to get away from you. We have back-to-back games against Phoenix. Phoenix is going to be favored in both games.
Oh, yeah.
Tonight's game, they're favored by 6.5, and it should be higher, but the whole situation with Devin Booker, and we saw that they struggled without Devin Booker against the Lakers, and the Lakers beat the Suns earlier last week. That being said, you can't go 1-4 because at 1-4, man, the season starts to slip away, and then after that, the Spurs have Toronto, then Indiana, the Pacers, then they have the T-Wolves at the Heat, and it's like, please just be 5-5. Yeah. Please be 5-5 after 10 games.
If they lose these next 2 games, it's going to be rough.
Yeah, and people are asking me online, man. I didn't bring this up, but people are asking me online, and Joe actually brought it up on the show earlier yesterday, asking the question, is Sohan playing point guard, low-key tanking?
Oh, I don't know about that. I got to see a little bit more. I got to see a little bit more. For that, the T word, I got to see a little bit more out of that. But nevertheless, look, 3 games in, got the 4th coming up tonight. Don't be surprised if they lose. I mean, Phoenix is the juggernaut. Even without Booker, there's still Kevin Durant. They still got some firepower on that squad. So, tough times ahead for your Spurs.
I would kill for them just to win one of the back-to-backs.
Just give me one of these, yeah.
Just one of these guys, because man, that's a hard-hitting team, and we're going to learn a lot about the Spurs tonight. Bouncing back, can they bounce back? Will they have that fire within them to kind of come back and go, we can't let what happened a couple of nights happen again. Mm-hmm. We have to come out fired up, because the Spurs came out, first road game of the season.
They were out good in that first quarter. They look really good coming out of the gates, but then they just fizzle as they go.
Yeah. And it's what did you say? The third quarter, the second and third quarter.
Yeah. That's where they get outscored by 10.
Brutal.
He is Mike Jimenez. Make sure to follow him on Twitter or X at MJ Acquired Taste. And he is helping out Joe Garcia at the Alamo City Sportscast. That's right. Everything you want from sports, nostalgia, current events. It's almost as if like it's old Jimenez's show back in the day here
Yeah,
recreated.
it's halftime-ish.
Yeah,
Very
very
is what
halftime-ish.
it is. Yeah,
It is.
it's funny because you do that podcast and it might only be an hour 15, hour 20 minutes long. But think about it this way, when I had my old radio show, I'd be on for 12 minutes and then off for 5, on for 12, off for 5 because of commercial breaks. So when you do content that is 80 minutes straight, it's the equivalent of having a 2.5 hour long show because there's no filler. You just kind of keep going, and you never know where the conversation's going to go. And we have lots of people who subscribe to us on YouTube, and they leave their comments, and we read them as well. They help direct the course of the show as well. But we do it live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We're available on all the major podcast platforms, from iHeart app to Apple Music to Spotify and all of that stuff. And again, on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. So it's fun times.
Absolutely. Again, go check it out on YouTube. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. We'll be back tomorrow. Talk more silver and black, likely more Wemby. I know, right? Strange. I'm talking about Wemby, right? We'll see what's going to happen. Hopefully, we're not looking back at a bad loss again from your Spurs versus Phoenix, but just stay here with us right here on Locked On Spurs. Your team is covered here every day on Locked On Spurs, available on the Kens 5 Plus app, YouTube, Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes. The list goes on and on. So make sure you do that right now. But for Mike Jimenez, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.